Hi, my name is Ariel from the Children of Karma, and today I'd like to discuss Mercury and Jupiter aspects. This aspect involves Mercury, so Mercury transcends boundaries. It can go deep down into the underworld and pick up all of the gems, all of the information that you can learn from shadow work and the subconscious mind, and bring it back up to Zeus, the air god, Jupiter, to process and integrate the information. So if you have a hard aspect here, like a square or an opposition or a conjunction sometimes, you can have difficulty with this. And Jupiter is also morality. So this person considers the morality before they speak. And sometimes they talk a lot, like if there's an air sign, or sometimes they keep more to themselves, the water signs, or sometimes they're a little stubborn, the fire signs, the fixed signs. This aspect is future oriented. They have really big ideas, and sometimes they can exaggerate to make a point. And they're really interested in spiritual things, politics, law, excited about learning multiple things, many things. They want to have a lot of information so that they can find a more well-rounded truth. But sometimes when we're doing that, we can lose clarity. There's so much information, and it can be hard to process that information as it's coming in because it's coming in so quickly. This is difficult aspect to meditate with as well. Sometimes I notice your mind is running really fast and you can't really integrate the information. It's important to capture it in the moment, jot it down into notes, capture it into voice notes and go back to it and really process that information a little more deeply. This aspect is open to other perspectives. They want to learn. Everyone's perspective doesn't mean that they're going to listen to it, but I think they just want to gather as much information from all sources, even seedy sources, and just to have it. It can be the observer mind, the person who's always thinking of the bigger picture, always thinking about morality before you do something. If this is a hard aspect, maybe you have some difficulty with that, processing the morality of things before you speak. Sometimes you can find arrogance, or confidence. Zeus is also very non-committal. He had many affairs. So I think it's because you just want to remain open to the possibilities of something coming in. This aspect wants to search for meaning in everything. And sometimes the meaning changes. And much of life really is a mystery. And that's really the point of this aspect. I think they're on a search, on a quest for meaning, for answers. And sometimes there are no answers. There is no meaning. Or we're not meant to access that meaning. Maybe that's the whole point. Maybe certain things have to be a mystery. I always think about the trees and their root system and how complicated that is and what's going on under the surface that we really don't know. How the trees are even communicating with each other, about the weather changes and what their needs are. There's a whole network that we just don't have access to. It's just so much information. You can find that this aspect is the teacher, the preacher, and so sometimes they're guiding others, mentoring and giving advice. Sometimes they can appear, very optimistic. They can empower others. But sometimes you can see someone who maybe there is no meaning behind their words and it's just all talk. This aspect doesn't really care about the credentials so much. They don't feel that they have anything to prove. This person can just jump into a conversation and just flow with it. They have an ease about them. Like their speech can sometimes be careless. It can sometimes appear that they know more than they really do. You know, this aspect is it's known for connecting to the gist of something instead of grasping onto the details, those practical day-to-day things. This aspect doesn't focus on the day-to-day practical things. They focus on the bigger picture. So they can miss the details. Sometimes they connect to the gist of something, the spirit of it, to capture the soul or the deeper meaning of something, but they can miss the details, you know, and sometimes even miss the entire point of the thing. You know, they're connecting to the spirit of something, but maybe that spirit, that intention doesn't match the words that the person is saying. So this aspect is connecting to the soul of it. So that can be a positive way to look at it. You're connecting to the soul, but maybe the soul doesn't match what that person is saying. So maybe that's why you can miss certain details, miss the point of something. But I do think that this is a positive aspect, especially if you don't have any sort of blockages in your path that you can really see clearly because you've dealt with your own wounds and you're not projecting them onto someone else. And I think in that space you can see very clearly and connect to the soul of something. So this is a really positive part of this aspect. Sometimes when you do have a lot of information coming in, you're always learning and gathering information, it can be hard to process it all. You can have so many interests as well, and it's like you have difficulty finding the right way to prioritize everything, because you're not going to have the energy to do everything. You need to prioritize, and it can feel like, well, everything is important, everything has an equal amount of importance. So it can be difficult to kind of weed things down, or to simplify things, to remove, to eliminate. Can feel difficult. This is the eclectic thinker. They don't want to be placed into a box. You know, they think philosophically. Sometimes they can sound a bit vague and there are no details. With this aspect, you can find meaning and purpose where other people just see reality, you know, and this can make you very lyrically inclined. You know, you can be very poetic, a songwriter, even a storyteller. That's the most amazing part of arts. Even writing is arts. You capture something, the soul of something, and you're able to translate it to other people so that they can gain that meaning from it as well. I think that's so beautiful. And with this aspect, you can also travel physically, but you can also travel with your minds through the way that you love to learn. You know, you can really go to far places with the mind, and it can be very, very exciting with this aspect. Thank you for joining me for this video, and I'd love to see you at thechildrenofkarma.com so we can find your ancestral patterns and we can find better ways to work with them. Make sure that we're not repeating the patterns of the past and we're moving forward. Don't forget to like the video. Bye.